Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hi friends, so yes, we are in a different location today and that's because I'm still struggling with my back being a bit weak right now. And I was gonna hobble down to the floor again, but I was like, you know what? My viewers don't care if I'm sitting at a couch or if I'm sitting there. And since I got my new bookshelves last year, I do have at least partially a cute background, and I have lots of cute throw pillows. So I was like, we'll just make it work for the sound anyway. And I just know it's smarter of me to sit here. So I hope you don't mind this video and probably the video for Saturday. You'll have me sitting here and we'll see. Maybe for the next week too, because the videos that I filmed sitting down there, it took me a long time to get back up. And this way, like I have my books here that I'm going to show, I have a drink here, and I have the support of, I have an ice pack on my back, and we're going to get through these. We're going to get through these. So this today, as you can see by the title, we have an oddly specific recommendation, and that's because this is going to have, I actually worked it out that I have 3 different categories for this one. We're gonna have singers and bands, because there is one that it's a band. Then we're going to have actors and actresses, both of like TV and a few historical, so actors of the stage. And then I actually have a bonus category that I won't tell you about yet, because if I do, it'll basically give it away and I want to save it until we get to it. All right, so first we're going to do the singers, and we'll start off with a new release that I know you guys love, and that is Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver, right? So in this one we have the chart-topping country singer Skylar Stone, and she has become a bit disillusioned with the life. She's been pushed into the spotlight since she was young. Her parents and her manager have really been the ones controlling her, and she is tired of it. And she gets an offer from, what's his name? Ford. She gets an offer from Ford, and actually his daughter is really into Skylar Stone. So she gets an offer to come and record with him at Rose Hill Records, right? And you know what? It's coming at just the right time in her life where she needs it. And so she's ready to kind of get away from it all. But when she first arrives in the area, she has a bit of a snafu with a bear that she thinks is a bit more cuddly than it is. And we have Weston, who kind of saves her from her stupidity, and she's a bit embarrassed by that. And then when it turns out that she'll be staying in his guest house, she realizes that she's in a bit of an awkward position. But Weston ends up being just about the best thing for her, even though he does push her and tease her. He's actually a huge fan of her music too, so it's really cute like that. But he just shows her, you know, the bigger picture in life. It's a very classic tale of like that starlet going back and finding themselves, but she really was suffering a lot from the lifestyle she was in, and there's no doubt she's a very talented woman, but we also see behind the scenes a bit too of like, it isn't always the most talented people that make it to the top. Sometimes you're just really good at performing and you're really good at doing what you're told, and you know, so there's some of that. If she's like, am I even really talented? You know, she's never written her own songs. She's never, you know, stripped herself down to just her voice and a guitar. Like, she's never done any of that. So it's really beautiful to watch her grow that way. Okay, then we have Hideaway Heart by Melanie Harlow, and this has a bit of some similarities to that, in that we have another I don't know if she's country music star. I think she is, because it's Kelly Jo Sullivan. Yeah, country music sensation. So there we go, another one. And she wants to go on a vacation. And so she's going to go to this little cabin for 2 weeks. She's unplugging and completely cutting herself off from everything. And her brother is like, girl, you can't do that. So he calls up his friend Xander Buckley, who is a former Navy SEAL, and he agrees to protect Kelly, even a bit against her will. So he ends up showing up where she's staying and kind of barging his way in there to be her protector. And so at first she's being kind of bratty about it and actually really pushes back against him, but she realizes that, you know, her family will agree that she's safe more readily if Xavier is there. Is it Xavier or Xander? Is Xander. Sorry, it's Xander. If Xander's there, and, you know, it'll just make things easier. So what I liked about this is that she does kind of let him, you know, be in control of that aspect and listens to him for protection advice, which I really liked, because a lot of times when you have a bodyguard romance and it is a reluctant heroine to have a bodyguard, they just push back so many times. And it's like, woman, you are actually famous. People may actually be trying to get to you, and maybe you should listen to this guy. And so I like that there is that bit of friction in the beginning, but soon enough it's a forced proximity of them staying together here. And there's even a tiny bit of like role playing in here that I was like, I see you, Melanie. I see you slipping that in there. Okay, then we have one that might be a bit of a surprise for you guys, because I don't talk about this series too much because I've actually only read the 4th book in the series. So someday I will backtrack, I promise. So there is Where Waves Break by Julia Wolf. This is book 4 in the Seasons Change series. Now the Seasons Change is a rock band, all like that. The whole series is performers, right? And in this case, we have the hero Diego, and he has a 4-year-old son, and he gets asked to be the Seasons Change's drummer for a tour. And he's worried about care for his son. And it turns out that the lead of the band has a younger sister who's watching their kid already. And so it's no trouble for her to also watch Diego's son. And so he reluctantly like agrees to have this happen. He's very protective over his son. I forgot the heroine's name in this one, actually. Let me see if it says it up top. June. Is her name June? Or is that the month? Yeah, her name is June and Diego. And they get along well, it works. And then then we skip ahead and the tour is like done, and he ends up also needing someone to take care of his son then, because he does have a dad, but his dad can't really keep up with the 4-year-old little boy. And so June ends up moving in and becoming a live-in nanny for him. And things are going to get very sexually charged with them. And there is a moment where they discover that they both have the same kink. So she's been a submissive before, he's been a dominant before, and then that kind of enters into their relationship. But, you know, we're trying to keep it all about the son. But now that they know they share this part of themselves, it's going to be difficult to keep themselves away. So, yes, I believe the series starts with, let me let you know, I haven't read it. Falling in Reverse is the first one. And then there's Stone Cold Notes and Faded in Bloom. And then this one. So again, I read this one as it was the first adult romance of Julia Wolf's that I read. Her other ones, I mean, they're adult, but she had a new adult, and that's how I found her, right? And I was on her ARC team, and I was asked, do you want to read the adult book? And when it said it was a single dad and a nanny, I was like, heck yes. And then when this was done, Dear Good Grumpy Boss was the next one, which we know what that led to with the Harder They Fall series. But yes, this one has a drummer in it. Okay, then there is I Like You Like That. This one is another bodyguard situation. And we have, hold on, I had to pull it up here. We have Birdie, who her and Liam actually knew each other when they were younger, and they had a bit of a falling out, and so she doesn't like him anymore. But now she needs a bodyguard, and she actually has written some songs about when he rejected her when they were young, and so it's a bit awkward to have him there now. But anyway, so Liam comes and ends up being her bodyguard, and he's protecting her from the stalker, and I believe he also gets asked to be there because her management and stuff won't agree to the tour if she doesn't get a better bodyguard and get someone who won't be kind of pushed around by her a little bit. That's kind of what I remember from this one anyway. But yeah, this was a plus size heroine, and yeah, it was a he broke her heart back then, and then he kind of actually blamed her a little bit because he rejected her, and then she completely like cut herself off from him totally, and he was really going through something. So the way that he sees it, it wasn't really an appropriate time for her to have like made a move back then, just what was happening in their lives and everything. But she was a good friend, and she just abandoned him because he didn't give her what she wanted. And I thought that was an interesting twist on it, because it's not like she was, I mean, she was hurt, and she was already kind of an insecure woman with like her looks and how she felt about herself. But at the same time, it's like, you know, there are guys we know that do that they cut themselves off if you reject them. So it was interesting to see anyway. But this is a second chance for them. They weren't together back then, but it's a second chance at being together. So this is a female rock star and her bodyguard situation. Okay, then we have a rap star that I have to talk about, which is of course the Grip trilogy, which is one of my favorite performers, and it's actually his like partial manager. So it starts with Flo, which is a shorty in the series that shows when Grip and Bristol first meet each other, and then things spoil for them because he has an ex-girlfriend who comes in and like acts like they're currently together, so it makes Bristol think that she was being enticed to like cheat on a woman together, which wasn't the situation. But then we come back up years later, and Grip is really good friends with her brother. Her brother's actually also a performer. There's actually a different series that's about the brother, and that one's also performers, but this is the really good stuff, okay? And this one, she is part of his management team, and they now have like, you know, not gotten along really well through these years because there's that sexual tension that's just been kind of hanging on there. And also Bristol has a tough time trusting men because of some things she's seen happen with her parents, and her mother has always put it in her head that a man will only like bring you down and all that. So this is really about that. And then there is the third book in the series, Still, which has the first years of them being together through their marriage, through loss, through career change, through public scrutiny. Like, it's all in here, and it's one of the most powerful series I've ever read, ever. And I know it intimidates a lot of people. Believe me, I did cry as much as I thought I would, but it's Kennedy Ryan, y'all, and she still is she's the queen for a reason. This story is so powerful. It's so powerful. All right, and then the last singer that I'm going to share, this is why my laptop was causing me problems, is one, it's been a long time since I read this. That's why I have the notes here. But this one was We Own Tonight by Corinne Michaels. And I read this one a long time ago. It was one of my first Corinne Michaels, so I'm very nostalgic for it. But this one is a one-night stand with her childhood crush, Eli Walsh, who's a musician. And so they have a drunken mistake together, and she ends up like running out. She's very embarrassed about it, but he really liked her. And so he keeps coming back and wanting to see her, and they end up becoming really good friends and falling in love. And there is a tiny bit of a twist to this one in that it is Eli, I believe, who has an illness. I believe so. Sorry, I'm trying to find it because it's been a long time, but oh, and it's also very like difficult for her because of how much he is like other people are attracted to him. So yeah, here we are. The warnings are it's Huntington's and MS are both seen in this story. So that's where the illness is, but it does have an HEA, but it's very difficult. So yes. But anyway, okay, now we're going to do some actors, okay? So we're going back to Cherry Tree Harbor, and we have Small Town Swoon. And this one is about Dash Buckley, who is a TV actor. He's trying to get into movies, and he's currently on this show that's a bit like a Baywatch type thing. So he has his shirt off all the time. He's really hot, and he's trying to get into more serious roles. And so he gets told that he needs to really tap into his romantic hero self and not just being the heartthrob look. So he goes home to Cherry Tree Harbor, and he's there for a wedding, and then he ends up meeting, or re-meeting, he of course knows her, his little sister's best friend, who is, sorry, what's her name? Her name is Ari, and she has harbored kind of a grudge against him because he actually rebuffed her a few years ago. The only thing is, she was a teenager and he was now an adult, and they were back in their they were all staying. He was back in his childhood bedroom and she was having a sleepover with his sister, and she snuck into his room and made a move on him. Him not being a creeper, he rebuffed her because she was trying to crawl into his bed, and so she's held a bit of a grudge. So there is that we have to get out of the way, but it was kind of cute. Like, I can understand why she would have felt kind of, you know, pushed back after that. But he makes it clear, he's like, well, I was attracted to you, but I was at home where my dad is, and you're my sister's friend, and you're underage. Like, how did you see this turning out, right? So he kind of points out how her teenage hormones were kind of getting out of control. But anyway, so he ends up staying in the town for a while, and she's actually working her family restaurant, and her parents need to take a bit of a break because her dad's health, he's having some struggles, he needs to relax. And so Dash actually ends up kind of helping her at the restaurant, and she's helping him get in touch with his romantic hero vibes. So they actually watch a lot of rom-coms and try to get him into that. So very cute. Love this one. Love Melanie Harlow, obviously. Okay, then we have a historical. I have 3 historicals to share that have actors in it. So we'll go through those. So the first one is Somewhere I'll Find You by Lisa Kleypas. This is Capitol Theater, Book 1. And this one is about Julia Wentworth, and she is an actress. And the thing is, she had to give up her old life to become an actress. And she actually ran away from a betrothal that she's been in this betrothal since she was a child. And she went away to London, changed her name, has become an actress. And Damon Savage, who was estranged from his parents, he was the man who she was engaged to when she was a child. And his goal is to find his bride, and kind of dissolve this betrothal officially so that there's no like shame on either side, or they can't take each other to court or anything. But when he discovers that Julia is this actress and he's so attracted to her, he wants to like make her his mistress instead, or maybe not end the betrothal that they're in because of that. And Julia is just so like, I refuse to get pulled back into these things, you know. But yeah, this one was really good. It's not the highest rated Lisa Kleypas that I've read before, but I did really enjoy it. The Hunter by Carrie Byrne. This one is actually an assassin romance, and we have our heroine Millie, who is an actress on the stage, and Christopher Argent is an assassin, and he gets sent to end Millie. But when he's watching her perform and looking for an opportunity to kill her, he gets a look at her, and he's honestly stunned by her beauty. And so he misses 2 opportunities to kill her. And after the second time, he basically just tells her, if you'll be mine, I won't kill you. So the only path for safety is her surrendering herself to him, and her son, actually. She has a little boy as well. And so Millie and Christopher now are actually like both kind of in hiding, because Christopher backed out on his, you know, his commission to kill this woman. So he's going to have to answer to certain people for stepping out of line. And then the other historical I have to share is Darling Beast by Elizabeth Hoyt. And might as well show you the sexy step back there. So this one is about Lily Stump, and she's an actress, and her theater has been like partially burned. And she has this whole troupe of people with her that she takes care of. She has a son, look at that. She has the theater troupe and all these people that need work and need help. And so she ends up meeting Apollo, Apollo Graves, the Viscount of Kilbourne. He'd taken an almost fatal beating, and then he escaped from Bedlam. So the soldiers are on his heels trying to find him, and so he also is taking refuge near the place where Millie is staying, blah, blah, blah. And he's become a gardener, basically. He also is, I believe, like mute in the beginning of this. I think he is. I believe that's what's happening, is that he is. It's been a hot minute. Yes. His throat was injured during that like beating and stuff, so he's mute in the beginning of this. But yeah, this one is a lot of people's favorite in the series. I believe this is Jessen's favorite in the series. I haven't read these books in so long. I really want to, but there's 12 in the series. It'd be a lot to go back and do that, but love Elizabeth Hoyt. Okay, then we have another Kennedy Ryan. She writes a lot of performers, actually. And there's a reel. So this is the Dark and Quirky box. I actually think this was from the Booktuber box. I don't have the whole box. I actually just have this one, but it has a beautiful like page overlay right here. But yeah, this one is about an actress on like, I think she's on like Off-Broadway or whatever she is, I can't remember. But we have our hero who is a director, and he's trying to make this biopic basically about this woman who was a like unsung like black actress. Basically, she was really kind of, you know, forgotten after the Harlem Renaissance and everything, and so they want to make this. And he goes to see our heroine perform. It's the one night she's been able to perform the lead, because she's actually, I believe, like an understudy for this. And he sees her perform, and he's like, oh my God, that's my Desi Blue. Desi Blue is the name of this film star. And he ends up approaching her and asking her to be his actress. And there's immediately this amazing chemistry between the two of them. They are just so attracted to each other. But canon, he has dated a star of his movie before, and it went up in flames, and so he's really not looking to get into a situation like that again. But the pull of them to be together is just so strong. This one also deals with chronic illness. It deals with the loss of a parent due to a terminal illness. So this does have heavy topics, but the way that Kennedy Ryan does, it's such a powerful story that she's able to tell. It's beautiful. All right. And then the last one for actors, I thought it's about that time of year to share this one anyway. We have A Merry Little Meet Cute, which I really want to catch up on this series. The third book in this series just came out, but I actually have A Holly Jolly Ever After that I need to get to. But this one is about this company that used to do corn, you know, but now they're doing these like Hallmark type movies. And the director of it, I believe it's the director. Is it the casting director, or is it the, I don't know, but she's actually a plus size film star. And her favorite producer, it is a producer, casts her to be in a Christmas movie on the Squeaky Clean Hope channel. So B really has to hide her persona as Bianca, which she basically had an OnlyFans, and that's how she became famous, was this, and she wants to get into legitimate acting. And it turns out that the man cast opposite her as the lead, he was a childhood like in a band, and it went sour, and his reputation has not been the best. And he actually needs money because he supports his family, and he hasn't been able to get any work in a long time. And so he gets this job. So both of them need this to work, and they need there to be no scandal attached to this. The only problem is he actually was a like patron basically of her OnlyFans, or a fan of her OnlyFans, whatever it is. And so he recognizes her right away, and he wants to find a way to like share that he knows so that she isn't embarrassed about it. But they can't help but both be super attracted to each other and not know, like, you know, how are we going to hide this, because we can't have any scandal connected with this at all. But this is really hot, you know. Sierra Simone writes some fun stories here. So yeah, I really need to read Holly Jolly Ever After. And then, what's the third one that just came out? Oh, I can't remember, but that one just came out too. Okay, now the final bonus category I said. I just have 2 books for this one, but because it's performers, I didn't just want to do actors and actresses. So I have 2 books that fit under kind of like circus / court jester vibe, if you get what I mean. So I have Trick by Natalia Jaster, who this is about a court jester named Poet, who he really is a performer. He's performing in multiple ways on multiple levels that you don't even realize until later on. But our heroine is a princess of a court that is different of his, and all the courts have kind of gotten together, and so her and her mother are visiting this court, and she catches the eye of Poet, and she kind of gets pulled into this adventure with him, learns some very dark things about the world that they're in, which, I mean, she already knew a lot of them. Even though she was a princess, she still knew a lot about it. But these dark things actually directly involve Poet, because in this world, and this is a major trigger warning for people, so I'm just going to tell you about it. People with mental disabilities, neurodivergence, they belong to the crown. They are basically wards of the crown. And in some courts, they're treated like slaves, they're abused and mistreated. In other courts, they're just kind of like ignored or not given the best things, but in some places they're really mistreated. And Poet has a son who would have like special needs, and he refuses to let his child be pulled into it. So he's actually within the court to cause mischief and possibly get things to be different. We'll just say that. I won't ruin it all, but yeah, this was a very interesting one. And then for a circus performers, I have a book that I just love to share. I really wish everyone would read this one. Is Ringmaster by Brianna Hale. I love this book. So this is about Kale, who is basically the owner of a circus, and it's set in modern day too, in the UK. And our heroine, Raya, how we say it, she and her horse actually run away from her father in the beginning of this book. Her father's threatened to like kill her horse. He's abusive. It's awful, all this. She is 17, almost 18, and there isn't anything with them until she's older. Like, he very much is attracted to her, but you'll see if you've read it. Some people, it might be too squeaky no matter what for them, but to me, Brianna Hale did a really good job of not making him feel inappropriate ahead of time. Though Brianna Hale writes a lot of forbidden romances, so it wouldn't be a surprise. This, in my opinion, is one of her more wholesome stories for sure, because he brings her into the circus. He's like, we'll find a job for you here. You don't need to worry about where you were before. And so it's this found family, right? That's what circus is in a lot of ways, is this found family. And so she ends up trying to do things with her horse for the circus, as well as be his assistant in his knife act that he does. So they do things with that. And I just really, really love this one. So you've actually seen this model on the cover of a lot of other books. He's on the cover too of the Claire Kingsley, I think, as well. But yeah, The Ringmaster by Brianna Hale. So I'll have links to all these books down below if you want to snag either an ebook, audiobook, whatever. Using those links does help out the channel. But yeah, thank you for being here. Sorry for this literally like laid back one. I thought I could sit up straight, and then my back was like, nope, in the middle of filming. So here we are. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next one, friends. Bye.